I think that censorship is always something that an authoritarian dictatorship type government would want to when they want to prevent the dissemination of information. So rather than even trying to give a reason for the censorship, let's ask the millions of people out there that may be seeing this, why would anybody censor facts and truth about injury that's been caused by something that has been promoted for the last 20 or 30 years as the single most important safety component for our children, yet has caused more injuries, more documented injuries, millions of children being maimed worldwide? Why would you want to stop the conversation? That's the first question. And I'll give you a couple of reasons, but I think that's the first question that we have to ask. This is not Democratic or Republican. This is bipartisan. This is not based on any ethnicity or culture. This is not based on any religion. This is not based on any nationality, any religion. All these doctors represent a very diverse population, right? They transcend geographical boundaries, ethnicities, religion, everything. So this is not based upon one particular group of doctors. This is a very wide sampling of doctors from different parts of the world with different types of training, with different philosophies, different belief systems, different religions. And you notice that they're all 95, 97%, whatever, the numbers you're coming up with. That's huge. That shows that based upon a scientific quorum, more than 95% consistently have the same thought process, same belief system, same understanding of science. Because this is all based on science, logic, common sense, and basic medical physiology, basic scientific understanding. And I'm going to make this statement. I've made this before. I know that some people may not understand this, so I'm going to hopefully be able to make I know I have a friendly group of doctors here, so I'm going to make this case and see how many people agree with this. So you have the conventional virological model, and then you have what I call the more evolved virological model that would be explained by somebody like Steiner, who explained this. So viruses are seen as causing disease. However, viruses are a vital part of the human system, and without viruses, we would have never, ever survived. We have evolved because of viruses. We are actually a viral system. Now, the more advanced virological model is, remember, viruses aren't alive, they're not dead. They're RNA, DNA fragments. And my belief is, which goes along with what Steiner had taught, 100 years ago or so, and that some of the other doctors that you have also interviewed, Brian, they have a similar belief pattern. But this is what I believe. I believe that viruses live inside cells. When we are exposed, and again, my philosophy is a little bit different, but it's basically the same thing. When we are exposed to some type of a toxicological event, or when our environment significantly changes, in order for our body to adapt and to survive, we go through this change. And that change is a release of these viruses. And it's almost like mini messages that are sent out, like emails that are sent out to all our compadres, to all our other people in our environment, in our social circles, people that we know, people that are friends, people that are close to us. Obviously, it's not going to affect somebody on the other side of the planet, but it cascades. It's a evolutionary process to send out this message saying, this system, this body just was exposed to X, Y, and Z, and it's releasing a message, letting everybody else know that, hey, this thing, whatever the changes, whatever the environmental changes, the virus ends up helping us to evolve because it's a signal, it's a message, it's an email to other people, to other systems to evolve and be able to adjust to that change. So it's a evolutionary adaptogenic process, the release of viruses. And so I believe that when things happen like this, they're happening to help us become more resistant to the environment that we're living in. Think of dinosaurs versus alligators and sharks. Dinosaurs couldn't adapt to the environment, but sharks and alligators could, and that's why they survived the change in climate or whatever the changes were, the planetary changes. And so that adaptogenic response, in a way it's the mutagenic response, right, allows us to evolve. And I believe the viruses play that crucial role. The point is that, look, I'm not going to sit here and list all these things out just because it's not information that I have handy. I can't speak it from it. I would just be reading it, but it's coming out. This information is coming out. And the most important thing, my message And Brian, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you and your desire to get the truth out there, because I don't care what anybody's agenda is. I just want the truth out there so that I can go back to doing what I normally do, taking care of patients, so that we can keep on taking care of patients with cancer and autism, so we can have a fair world again. And I believe that what's coming down the pipeline is going to be an incredible world. It's going to be a world of abundance and fairness and truth, because if we can get rid of the media, if there was going to be an execution of an industry right now, of an execution of an individual, execution of somebody to make this world right, it would be mainstream media, taking out those bastards that have lied and lied and lied and had a manipulation of the truth to basically satisfy their puppet masters. We are in the United States. We are living in the free world. And yet this is the type of censorship that's going on. Why? The question is not, don't forget about my conspiracy theories or whatever you want to call it. Forget about labeling me. If you want to label me, fine. You want to label me as a kook, go ahead and label me. It doesn't matter. I just want people to ask one question. Why? Why are they censoring it? What is the purpose of censoring it? You don't censor pornography. You don't censor people with foul language. But now I'm here talking. I think the only word that I've used that could be potentially considered loose would be crap. And if I didn't say it, I just said it. So that's the only word. But why would that message get censored? And that's really what this whole thing comes down. They're manipulating us. And this is such an exciting time to be alive, because it gives us a potential for an evolutionary leap that hasn't occurred in recorded history right now. Because in fact, I think David Icke even said that this is a very critical time, but it's also a huge opportunity, I think is the word he used on your video, I believe. But he's absolutely right. Because right now we have the ability to turn the tables for the benefit of mankind. I have been a student of self-improvement for decades. My father started me on this quest, and both my brothers and my sister, years and years ago. We grew up reading Napoleon Hill and Andrew Carnegie and, listening to the tapes. And one of the things that was instilled in us is inquisitiveness. And when you talked about that fear aspect, and when I've talked about fear, it took a while for me. I was trained in general surgery, right? So we're a little bit slow. When in doubt, cut it out, heal with steel. those are our mottos in general surgery, right? So it takes us, we're not like, I say that facetiously, but surgeons are very, very, they're probably the most aggressive type of doctors, but they're also, they're not going to sit there and comment. They would be analogous to the special teams in the military, right? The elite teams. That's kind of like how I envision it. And I'm only saying that because surgeons have to work sometimes on their legs for 36 hours, and it's a tough life. But they also have to. Sometimes they're very simple-minded, and they're simple-minded because they don't have time for anything else. Now, in my world, as I grew up, and as I went through general surgery, and I could see the cancer, you can see it, you can cut it out, you can throw it down, you can spit it on, you can stomp on it, it's done. And then 6 months later, it comes back again. And it's like, why is it coming back? Because we never dealt with the issue. And cancer is just a symptom. That's just a symptom. It's not the problem. Cancer tells us that there's something underlying that's wrong, and that's the cancer is a symptomology. So why is it cancer day? And that's what we have to do. That's how we've gotten the results that we've gotten, and people from all over the world without any advertising, is because we were able to come to the causation aspect, the etiological component, and fix that. We need to look at the cause of it. We need to look at the etiological component, and that is misinformation. At a certain point, you have to understand that that the truth is always going to come out, right? It may take, my dad always used to say this, no matter what anybody says, it may take a week, it may take a month, it may take a year, it may take thousands of years, but the truth will always sustain itself. And we are at that point in history right now that we must, as a global population, as citizens of this planet, not as citizens of the United States or the UK or this country, that country, as a planetary population, recognize that, one, we are all connected. Literally, we're all connected. If you study quantum physics, you already understand that. But we are all connected, and our differences have been accentuated over the decades and over hundreds of years. Our religion, our creed, our ethnicity, our color of our skin, to create diversion. It's the same thing as saying China created a bioweapon, whereas taking the responsibility away from the United States for shutting down the economy. It's that type of division. It's always division, right? If you think about it, divide and conquer. That's an old saying. So you first divide the populace and then you conquer them. So I'm asking for people to unite. And my message, Dr. Lipton's message and Nia's message that we put out that was censored by certain media, it got out there. It was surreal to get videos sent to me from Russia showing your message is getting out and people are congregating, people are coming together, and the police trying to break it up. I have asked for every law enforcement officer, every military individual, anybody who's served in the military, active duty or retired, I have asked them to remember the oath that they took to protect and defend the U.S. Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I'm not asking for people to riot like some people are saying. That's ridiculous. We are a nation, a free nation, and we are the United States. And the world is a free nation. It's up to us to now define what that freedom means. Instead of wars being pitted against each other, we need to start looking at the similarities and see the similarities between ourselves. I'm not a political person, okay? I'm not a political person, but because I was in the military, my mind works a different way. And all soldiers, their minds work a different way. You may have a difference in opinion with your commander, but once the commander makes a decision, you execute. And if you don't execute, your best friend, your compadre is going to die because you didn't execute. So once a decision is made, you move forward. So to all the truth seekers, I appreciate you. And for all of us, I hope that we hold that intention in our hearts for all the truth seekers to give them more energy, more power. And I'm doing that for all of you guys. I'm doing that for every person that's willing to step out and say the truth, because that's what they're counting on, is people to be scared of the social shaming.
Yeah.
Much rather be socially shamed and still have a future of mankind than to sit on my rear end and let my children's future be destroyed.
And I appreciate